with niggas. I got no problem with hoes. I got a problem with niggas who owe me my money and duck on the low. Go get the money, go get the money. 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 This the remix, sound lit. Turn the line.
Noise, music, sounds. All right. I want to record, and I'm hoping that you all can hear me just fine. What's up? What's up? Welcome. Shouts out to the HOC family. All of us are growing, expanding, reflecting. Wanted to know Wagwan in our lives. Peace. What's up, Cheryl? Hey, Shannon. Hey, Dr. Emerald Jade. What's up, Tomika? Majestic Earth. How are y'all? Y'all can hear fine? Cool. Peace, Adiola. How are you? As you tune in, don't forget to thumbs up this video. Thumbs up this video, share. Peace, Master Key Visions. Hi, Alex. Hi, Alicia. Or Alicia. Here we go with the names again, right? All right, so y'all can see and hear just fine. Good. I'm trying to make better use of my laptop as opposed to doing everything on my phone. All right, so today, my loves, I'm going to talk about venting. Okay? Venting and the power in venting. The power in venting and some of the disempowerment of venting when you're doing it incorrectly. All right? So I'll give you all a minute to get yourselves set up wherever you are. If you're at work, if you are, let me just turn this down. Good loud. Okay. Uno momentito. Por favor. That's not Espanol. Oh, Jade, you got the book Brita, right? Did anybody else get Brita? Did anyone else get Brita? Because I told y'all it will be a dope book to read. I just gave it to one of my sisters to read too, because I have one that I just tend to share. I'm about to actually try something. I don't like looking down at y'all. I want to look at you. So I'll flip this up. Yeah, we live doing all this stuff. But whatever. Oh, that feels better. Now I feel like, hi, we're family. We're talking to each other. Awesome. Oh, this is so much more comfy. Swivel in my chair. All right, so if you're ready to talk about venting and what this means, how to do it, when to do it, who to do it with, where to do it, put some ones in the chat so I can know we're ready to roll out. Put some ones in the chat. All right. So the first thing is we recognize venting as this space and time where you get fed up enough that diplomacy flies out the window and you're in your bag of, I just need to get some stuff off my chest. A lot of times venting goes wrong when venting is one, subliminal. Please write that down. And if someone can, in the chat, if someone comes across the comments in this chat, it will be helpful for them to get this. Number one, when venting is subliminal, it is not successful, it's not effective. Okay? Two, when venting is shared in a space that people are emotionally inadequate to be able to see that it's a vent. Three, a true vent by a vet, A true vent by a vet or someone who is really inclined to grow and to develop this skill is not an attack. It's not an attack. And that needs to be really clear. A true vent, a successful vent, a mindful vent should absolutely not come from a place of attacking. So I gave 1, 2, and 3. Okay. The second one, thank you. I think we're missing the second one, Emerald. When venting in subliminal is not effective. 2, venting in a space of people who are not adequate enough, emotionally intelligent enough to hold that space is not successful. And 3, a true vent is not an attack. Okay? Number one, we need to acknowledge that when we have this desire to vent, from what we know socially, I need to get something off my chest. Right? You're already in a space of where you're super triggered. And when we're doing work, shadow work, getting clear mentally, wanting to make sure that we get more comfortable in how we navigate working with our own inner demons and how they affect our relationships with other people and how they even affect our relationships with our magic. Because this is very important and it's key. Because you can imagine that in a magical community, when people get to venting and they feel attacked, then it can lead to things like spiritual, psychic attacks on people unnecessarily, wasting lots of energy. Or someone can try to combat something or someone, and the vent wasn't really about them in the first place. So that's why we need to be mindful of when we're in a space where we know we desire a vent. One, kudos to you all when you recognize that space. I'm in a space, I need to vent. I need to get something off my chest. There are people who have not reached that level yet. And so rather than having that pause in between of, I need to get something off my chest, they just snap. Okay. And that's because they have not been sitting in self-care mode long enough, truly, really and truly, in self-care mode, and the nerves are run raggedy. And so the nerves are not allowing a space in between I am totally upset to I want to communicate this. And this is something I want to communicate without trying to make it beautiful. When you're ready to vent, sometimes what I want to say about the vent really is that that's the time where you don't need to hold back. A real successful vent, you don't need to hold back. It is like the space that's required for it to be successful needs to be the equivalent of entering a room of padded walls and rubber floors so that anything you throw out, like in this room, it just bounces off the walls and you may be sore, you might hurt yourself, but if you hurt yourself, you can, I hurt myself. But there's no one to hurt. The aim is not to hurt anyone. The aim is to get something out. And it's very appropriate to vent when trying to express something in a way that you are trying to protect or control the outcome so much that you still don't really touch the part of what you're holding back, it's time for you to vent. Now, I don't care how eloquent you are, how amazing your communication skills are. There are going to be occasions where you're dealing with individuals or situations that are absolutely impossible, no matter what you do. And in order for you to engage in a healing around those kinds of interactions, you'll need to go to the space where you're not caring about being right, you're not caring about being wrong, you're not caring about making it taste good, you're not caring about it, whatever. It just needs to come in its rawest form. So when we're dealing with that level of communication, there's going to be some no-nos and there's going to be some that'll work. And before you get to that space, I'm hoping that you can really take to heart this brainstorm of realities that I'm sharing with you around venting. Are you following so far? Always want to make sure you're still present. Okay? And welcome to all of you who have just joined. You can thumbs up this video if you're enjoying the content and you are sharing it with your community, because the more people you have in place that you can effectively vent, but more so effectively communicate with, the better for your life. Because the point is to be in a space of love, to be in a space of bliss, of satisfaction, of ease, of harmony. Is life any other way? It's just chaos. And stay in that space forever. You cannot get to see the beauty of what you are working to manifest. Okay? So, when to vent? It is time to vent if you have been in a space of holding your tongue for a long time and another party is beginning to show you signs that they're absolutely unaware of what's happening. Pause. If you've been holding your tongue to silence, then no. But if you've been holding your tongue more so in a way of expressing in a very neat production of, hey, this is a concern. This is something I'd like to troubleshoot. Let's work this out, or I have some issues with this, and you share and you're open, you're clear. But then it's not really getting there. It will be time to vent when that level of expression is not working. But you don't want to go just with the win, because now I need to express to you certain things that are important about the environment. Okay? So the who to vent to. We gotta always keep it real with what our environment entails, who's around, who's doing the work with you, who's willing to be in a space of growth with you all the way through, okay? At the level that you are or higher. You want to know who's in a space of development with you at your level or higher, okay? At your level or higher. If you have a situation where you want to vent and you know that the person involved is not going to be able to hold a space like a rubber room meaning whatever you say, that everything you think you're saying that could potentially be attacked, that needs to be in such a way mentally and emotionally to not take it on personally. And that's why I say the true vent should not be a personal attack. Because if you're personally attacking, you're not really just venting. You need to be clear that you are going for the jugular and you intend to hurt the person. And that is different from I intend to be the catalyst for growth. There's nuances, it's a subtlety, but your intention needs to be that clear. I intend to chop this head off and never speak to this individual again. Or I intend to be really, really blunt about how I feel because I want to get past this. Do you understand the difference between that? The attack to kill, or the attack, not the attack, the share to prune and cultivate growth. Do you understand the difference between the two? Press 1 in the chat. Okay, good. So we established that if the person you're dealing with, no matter who it is in a space where there's an agreement to grow, okay, there's an agreement to grow at the same level or higher, then you can let the person know, I need you to hold space for me to vent. And let them know that there are things that you're going to say that may hurt their feelings or trigger them, but that nothing you're saying is personal and all you're aiming to do is to grow, but you need a space to let it out without all the bells and the whistles. If that person is in this space of growth with you, then they can shield themselves up, okay? Not to block you out, but so that they're not going to immediately jump to punch you in the face. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about as far as a person being prepared and ready to hold that kind of space. That they're not going to leave the padded wall and choke your ass like, did you just say that about me? Did you just, okay? Because once they know and they say, okay, I agree to hold this space, right? That means all they're doing is listening. And the best part of listening from that space is, even when there's things that pinch them, they in that time can take mental note it. Because if it pinches them, if it touches them someplace personally where they feel they need to defend it, they can put it in their pocket, but they don't need to say anything. Put it in their pocket for further growth and development around what that issue is. So that when the vent is completed, they can go back to either helping to resolve some of those points that you needed to share and get off your chest in truth, in accountability. So some of the things you may be venting may just be lies. You may not know what the truth is. You may be arguing towards an illusion. And they can say, you said such and such occurred or was happening, but the truth is, this is what was happening. Okay? And that can help to, one, eliminate and neutralize one of the portions of the event. The other thing is accountability, where the person can say, I heard you say this about whatever actions took place, and I own that. So I'm going to take that with me, and I'm going to address it. And remember, just in case you're the person holding space, I'm going to address it does not mean that you need to address it now at the end of the event. And you should be compassionate enough with yourself in this process to say, I'm going to address it, but I'm going to take some time with it to digest it. And then you can respond accordingly. But you're taking accountability for whatever that part was that you identified you had the power to shift. Okay? Now, this is simple yet complicated. But I'm giving these scenarios to you so you can begin to play with them. Play with them, practice. Practice makes perfect. Okay? So when I'm giving you an example of what this holding space can look like, it gives you more of an idea of what kind of person can hold that space. And sometimes that person cannot be the person that you want to vent about. Not everyone is built for like, oh, baby, I can handle the truth. No, because even the vent is going to have some things in it that are just not true. But if you feel like you're telling the truth, because in a vent, you think you're telling the truth. Okay? Who cares? That's what it is. When you're venting, like everything you're saying, you're mad about, like that's the truth. Okay? And the person who's listening to it knows that you're venting from a place of thinking it's the truth. And not everyone can handle that kind of truth. Okay? Without losing it. You don't want to vent to that person. But what you do want to do is then see if you can either talk to a counselor, therapist, psychologist, or a friend who is emotionally mature enough and intelligent enough. The maturity portion is where the wisdom comes in. So I'm not saying to go see your girlfriend because that's your best friend, or go see your homeboy because that's your best friend. And you could just vent to them. Not all of them can hold that space either. Because the next thing you know, they've taken your vent for truth. And they walk into the room, into your other environments, and they dirty it with what is actually a very healing and therapeutic space of venting, and damage what you came to heal by either sharing your vent or acting out your vent. And that is so whack. So whack. Okay? So it may not be your best friend. It may need to be someone who is unattached to this scenario, but can hold the space and has worked with you long enough to give you honest feedback if you want feedback after the event. Because if you don't want feedback after the event, you just don't want it. You want it to just let it out. Okay? Another thing to be mindful of is that even if you have a beloved that is really good with holding space, if that person is under their own stress, their own pressures, their own, like they're in event space too, timing is important. They can't hold space for you if they're in a space of needing space to be held. And that's where you have a mutual understanding and compassion for one another's growth and where they are. Okay? It will be selfish of you to think that you can just dump onto your mate, your beloved, whoever you care about, or even someone that you don't necessarily care about, but you have an ongoing relationship. It doesn't need to be an intimate, romantic relationship, but it's a relationship. If you know for a fact that they probably going through hell. Like if you want to have a vent session with a boss who's like really enlightened, but you know the boss is going through a divorce and their pet died and there's budget cuts, that wouldn't be a good time to vent with the boss. Make sense? Y'all follow? So now we've gone over when to vent, when it's time to vent. We've gone over who to vent to. And now I'd like to talk about where to vent. Like where? In your living room? At the park? At somebody else's house? At dinner? In the car? Okay? Different places. You can vent in many different places. But I will say there are better places than others. Venting can make people very vulnerable. Can make them very vulnerable, especially public places. And if you're not meaning to attack whoever it is that you care enough about or you respect enough that you would share how you really feel about certain things, then any public place is not a good idea. It's just not. It's inappropriate because it adds extra pressure to the person who is taking on holding that space for you. Would you agree? That you'd much rather do your emotional healing work in the privacy of your home or the privacy of some lake house in nature versus at the post office or at the movie theater when everybody is like, ooh, what's going on here? Okay. So that's just an obvious thing. I want you to avoid public spaces or there's a bunch of family around. Everyone has an opinion. Everybody wants to join. Everyone has their 2 cents. That's not a safe space to vent. The other is you can also decide between being in person or over the phone. So I played with that a little bit for you all. And I thought of some of the pros and some of the cons. Okay. Because being over the phone, you have some space so that if a person wants to be volatile, they can't do that immediately. Okay. And just, you get upset. Like I said, it doesn't matter like how reserved and conservative you are. When you're upset, a lot of things can kind of get out of pocket. One thing I like about being over the phone versus texting over the phone is that you have access to hearing the inflection, the tone, and the silence of the person. Okay. And those are cues that help you to understand a little more deeper as to what is being expressed. The side of texting that I love is different from screenshots, y'all. Okay. Is that you have a record of words shared, expressions made that you can go back to and ask for clarity. You can look at what was typed and say, when you said this, is this what you meant? Were you upset when you said this? Or were you just being matter of fact? Were you being sarcastic? Or you can ask questions later on. You have it in writing. And so later on, when certain things are said and certain agreements are made, you can say, oh, this is what you said. And this is what followed afterwards. Okay. And that does hold both parties responsible for what was shared. The only thing that I don't love about text, actually, the other part, I want to stick to the other part of texting that I do love, is that people are brave is I don't know what when it comes to texting. So the vent actually gets a little more saucy, and you get to really see some of the more deeper pains that may be going on with an individual, because it's just way easier to say F you than to just say F you for some people. Okay, the type is like, and you know, yeah, and I think that's a plus, because texting, being a gangster or via text messages, that just helps a person who is inclined to understand what an angry person looks like. Go, okay, I see what's up. The being in person outside of a violent or hostile environment, being in person, there are moments in communication where what you're feeling and what you're expressing is going to need to be expressed with no words. A vent can go from yelling at the top of your lungs to a quiet pause, to water in the eyes, to tears, to just a look of anguish and silence. Those are very much a part of a vent, because they're parts of your emotional expression that otherwise you would not be able to express them. You can't type them out. You can't speak them out. You can only be in your body what that thing wants to express. And when you're in person, it's fresh, it's immediate, and those kind of things send out such a vibration that the body in front of you communicates like via damn near osmosis. If you've ever been in the presence of someone that you care about, and then they just really start sharing, and then they hit that like peak, and then I don't know if Mike can hear my stomach growling. It's crazy. Sorry about that. But they hit that peak, and then the tears start to come, and you get the goosebumps, and then you're like, oh, damn, like you feel the tears too? That's the power of being in person. And when you're in that space, it's kind of like the humanizer, because no matter how hardcore an individual is, if they've agreed to sit in a space of holding for you while you vent, and then there's that moment of mutual expression or feeling or empathy, then so much more can begin to fall into place. The same with physically feeling the heat coming off of someone when they are that angry. You get a sense that this is serious. There are men who are watching this video, and they will tell you, like, I saw it in her when she hit that point of absolute anguish. Like, she was like, I am hot. The whole body language shifts. And it's the same for women amongst men, and the same we're amongst our peers. So to be in person helps to get those thousands of words across in just a moment. Okay? So I think I've touched on quite a bit when it comes to venting successfully and how to create that space. And through this lesson, if you don't already know where and who you can vent to, it will really be helpful for you to add that to your box of self-care, that this is a person that can hold this space. Or for the love of life, you all who want to be in relationships and you want to be in love and you want to grow and you want to do the spirituality thing and development and all this, right? Please have a conversation before anybody's mad. Like, hey, guess what? I'm not mad. I have nothing to vent about. But what's so crazy? I just finished taking this class on how to successfully vent. And I think before we ever have an issue, business partner, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my wife, my husband, my children, before we ever have an issue, can we talk about creating an event space so that we can start living with more mental health practices that are proactive as opposed to emergency situations? You got me? So yeah, the I'll talk about some personality types when it comes to communication, because I know that this is a very like meaty lesson for you today, and I can go into other aspects that you may come across. But that's it for today. Anyone has any questions? Anyone have any questions? Let's see. Peace, cedar fruit. I see you snuck up in here, lady. Hi, Denise. Hi, Sade. Mystic Lunar Rain. Love the name. You are light that you are a light that outbrightens darkness. I would say though, gotta go, sweetheart. Enjoy your day. Oh, thank you, Blackamore Tobacco Indian. All right. So, my loves, much love. Oh, I'm glad I stuck around a little bit. Peace, Jenny D. Thank you. Yes, yes. Yeah, I love to give y'all these couch sessions. Thank you, y'all. See, I did my chance. I did my chance. The Divine Mother is alive inside of I. Cool. So y'all know sometimes this live chat box doesn't always show, but feel free to comment in the comment section later on if you have any questions. It's helpful for you to ask the questions under the video that you have questions about, because I already know the context versus you inboxing me on Facebook. But for those of you who have not connected with me on Facebook yet, my name is Chi Batal. And if you want to follow me at Fluid Life Global on IG, please do, family. And I will see y'all soon. About to open up the gates to the House of Chi for our face-to-face meditations and classes and healing sessions, all of the above. So I love y'all. Peace, love, and bliss. I'm out.